Happy Thursday, everybody. And we're really honored to be doing this one today. This is an important one. And this one may go a little bit longer. But there's a reason for that. And it's something that we've been wanting to do kind of since Deb and I brought Edible Portland back. And I remember running into you briefly, talking to Eli, the Good Food Awards last year, and then, Laura and I having more conversations and all the different things. And for me, having lived in Portland off and on, West Lynn, going down to the Market of Choice in West Lynn, and and even the one that Eugene, all over, different ones, just seeing that from a customer standpoint, that it's clear. So then when you start to find out some of these other programs and things, and the commitment to the community and the local producer and farmer and maker and fisher person, all these things, it makes you proud, and it makes you feel like somebody who has the ability is doing the right thing, at a time when we need it now more than ever.
Thank you.
So here we are with John Boyle. So here we are.
Market of Choice.
Market of Choice. We're in the cool cooking school.
The R&D room.
Yeah. All right, John. Let's dig in.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
We're glad to talk to you. So I want to start with Mojo.
Okay.
First of all,
Go right in.
I couldn't find the definition of Mojo, and I figured, well, it must be some kind of fun inside joke. But
It actually stands for more of John's overcommitment.
there you go. I got it.
We started Mojo right after I joined the company in 2016. We were opening our store in Belmont, and we put the word out through Sarah at the Food Innovation Center, like, hey, we really want to get more local vendors into our stores and what. So they threw the invitation out. We had planned to do 2 days of meeting and greeting and learning about products, and it went 4 days at the Food Innovation Center. So then we started talking, like, well, how do we get how do we move all this stuff around our system? Because we're statewide, and we're lucky enough to have our own warehouse. So we have each store gets 2 deliveries a week from the warehouse into our kitchen. And so we said, let's put the product on these trucks. So the vendors, our local maker partners, they get to drop at 4 locations around the state. They're Market of Choice stores. So if they're in Bend and they're making gluten-free baking mixes, they just drop the inventory that we need at the Bend store, and then our truck picks it up and we bring it back to our warehouse and we reroute it around to where it's supposed to go. And it just took off. We just had more and more people signing up. It's a cool program because it allows the maker to focus on running their business and not focus on driving around, windshield time. And that's really what a lot of these local makers need. They're super passionate about the food, and they want to be in the kitchen, but they're running a business, so they've got to, evaluate how they can do that at the lowest possible cost. And we think that Mojo can help them, save that time, give them back time.
And part of what was really impressive to me is the kind of support that you guys are giving. I mean, you're giving serious information to how do you market, how do you get your product out there. And so just, I can't imagine the privilege of working with you from that standpoint, because I was totally impressed.
Yeah, we're super fortunate. I was telling John, we're super fortunate. We have a great group of incubators that work with local makers. We partner with them to find new makers, but we do a lot of pro bono ourselves. If you're in the Mojo program, you're guaranteed a full year at the shelf. And then we run 4 promotions a year that we fund. We don't ask them to reduce their cost, just to get them some velocity, and we build displays with them. And so it's a great program for them to help launch their business and get ready for the next level. And we actually have what we call the full potential promise. So you can be in the Mojo program for just 1 location, or you can be in all 11 locations, whatever you feel comfortable with. And we'll help you scale with you as you get more commercial kitchen time or things like that, and help you grow. So.
That's just an amazing thing you guys offer. To me, just the whole idea, when you first start trying to, you got a great product, but you don't know what to do with it, and then you guys shepherding it like that, I think that's fabulous.
Yeah, that last mile for most makers, what we call the last mile, is difficult. It's hard to find distribution. It can be expensive, and so again, this lets them really stabilize their business, and we let a lot of vendors come into our stores and just test market their product and get feedback from customers before they go buy 1,000 impressions of labels or something like that. So yeah, we're here for them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Thanks.
That's so good. Yeah. No, it's just so impressive and it's so cool.
It is.
You have to let it sink in.
You
kinda,
do.
right?
You have to let it sink in and think about that. And you think, because people don't always understand all the little bits.
Yeah.
Like you said, distribution. We get that. We are the distribution for this thing, and it's rough.
Yeah.
It's time that you're not, getting those ads, getting that content, editing that story, doing a podcast. All those things, and meeting the people and doing the stuff, and then the connection to the community, and you guys being able to offer them a place to showcase and do and grow with them, and labels cost, jars cost, getting the approval that this is food safe.
Yeah.
And it's not just I'm going to make some jam and do this and here we go. It's like, well, that's cute.
Do they always find you, or have you found?
No, it's actually really fun. I'll be out, or my team will be out at a farmer's market, and we'll start talking to somebody, and we'll say, like, have you ever been in a grocery store? This is fantastic. And we'll, so oftentimes the answer is no. And so we'll usually connect them with an incubator program. Get Your Recipe to Market is a great one. Usually 12-week cohort, learning everything from marketing to distribution to packaging. Like I said, we do some of that for them. We'll team them up with Accelerate is another great incubator that focuses on women-owned entrepreneurs. Built Oregon's huge. They usually do 3 kind of Zoom pitch fests a year where they'll. It's myself, and New Seasons is usually on there. Barbara World Foods oftentimes is on there. Tender Loving Empire sometimes, and so they'll pitch to all of us as buyers, and then we'll decide who we want to bring in. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Amplify, as a woman, Amplify is really interesting to me, and your support of women-owned and minority-owned business.
Yeah, we started the Amplify program just before the pandemic, and we wanted to help shoppers find products that they wanted to support, and oftentimes that could be they want to support women makers, or they want to support BIPOC makers, and so we created a whole program around that. Vendors self-enroll if they want to be identified that way, and then we'll put an icon on the shelf that identifies BIPOC or women-owned or LGBTQ plus, just right there, so anybody shopping can find those brands and those lines and support that person.
Choice.
We also we discovered that the market of choice stores, we have 11 around the state, but there's obviously communities we're not in. So another part of Amplify is like, how do we reach out and work with these other communities where we may not have a store, but we could figure out a way to get product again to the Mojo system. And then we can work with chocolate makers on the coast, or we can work with High Desert Food Alliance, near Bend, they're bringing a maker to us or something like that. So
That's I just think that's great.
it's super gratifying actually when
That's
you're a part of. Market Choice is super proud to be part of the Oregon food ecosystem, but it's super cool when you watch a vendor go all the way from talking to me at the Food Innovation Center. Like I'm thinking about Michael Pan, and then he's on Shark Tank with Pan's mushroom jerky, and it's like nationwide.
Right.
I bet so many people don't realize all of this, and
True.
I certainly hope that people watch this and
Thank you.
more
We
and more.
appreciate you guys.
Yeah, well, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, this is the heart and soul of it. So one of the places I was going to jump to, because I was doing some research, and John used to work for Laurent way back.
Oh, fun.
Another
Yeah.
time in another life. But your whole wine program, again, local focus and all that stuff.
Yep, super local focus. We work with Laurent and his team, and they have helped us create the Intersect brand, and Community Cellars brand. And then we actually work with other winemakers in the state to create the Place brand. And so we've been in the kind of the private label wine space for about 3 years, I think now. We also do just regular collaborations with beer makers or wineries that we let them and their brand take the, be on the shelf, and it'll say, partners or collab with Market of Choice as kind of a second voice. We really want them to be successful. And then we'll guarantee them to buy a certain number of cases so it's worthwhile for them. They know and can expect what their production needs are going to be.
Gosh, I want to come to work for you.
Thank you. I'd love to have you.
Oh, it's just so exciting what all you're doing.
Let's just trade jobs for a week, because I'd love to do your job too.
Careful what you ask for me. It's not all just eating at restaurants and hanging out at bars.
Hanging out at the coast.
So I had a question. I was reading about your guiding ideas, which is Oregon-based, building local, sourcing quality, curating selection, and of course it's all Oregon owned. Tell me about curating selection. What does that mean exactly?
Well, when Rick created the company, he worked for, his dad has been in the food business his whole life, as you probably read, and mom. And then Rick had this idea of Market of Choice, like a store that offers a lot of different choices for customers. We're about 70% natural organic product mix, and the rest is what the industry calls conventional. And we believe that having those choices just makes for a better shopping experience, right? You can come in here, you're not having to hit 2 or 3 different retailers. The curation part comes in where we do a lot of work around trying to identify trends happening in the industry, usually dietary trends, but could be flavor trends. And then we come back, and I'm super fortunate to have 14 awesome people on my team that work on all of our perishable departments. We have a team of culinary chefs that work with creating recipes based on maybe a trend that we found. We have other buyers for other departments. We have real bakers, and so it's super fun to identify. One of the flavors we think is going to be huge this year is pistachio, and so our bakery people can get involved in creating those type of items. That's where we find ourselves helping to curate what people might want to find in the store.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I have to blame Laura for a minute.
For getting you on.
The pistachio spread.
Oh,
That I. How many jars do I go through a week now?
Yeah, one a week it feels like.
And the well spent, in division's pretty close to us, so I can always just.
Pistachio
I'm like,
is amazing.
I'm just like apple, anything.
Yeah.
Spoon. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm here for pistachio, mate.
Yeah. They've been pretty successful.
Yeah.
It's good to see them grow. They're moving into a bigger space now.
When I listen to you, what I think of is that not the original way that people would do shopping when you went to the baker and then you went to the butcher and you went. I'm not quite that old, but I do remember when things were more separated. And of course, as modern society has developed and we're always looking for convenience, then with that convenience, as quality's been lost in that, to bring it all, so it's easily findable. And you guys are just bucking that trend.
Yeah.
And man, I know I've said it and I'll keep saying it. It's just such a unique way to approach it, and you're being very successful.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, and then part of the curation goes all the way to the stores. The products we might create here in the R&D kitchen or whatever, it has to, our team members have to, buy into that and learn about it. And we do a lot of just teaching so they understand the origin or what the special attribute might be. What does regenerative ranching mean to our stores, but also to the planet? And so when you go to the meat department, you can have that conversation just like at the old butcher shop with our meat cutters or seafood mongers about the origin and fresh Oregon line caught or whatever the story is a big part of what we do. So it's, a lot of stores have become just kind of ubiquitous, carrying the same stuff at every store. And here you'll find those brands, but you're also going to find an amazing assortment of something you didn't expect, or you're going to learn something that you didn't know about that farmer or rancher or something like we work really hard to even work with farmers. We'll buy seeds for the farmer to grow a variety of crop. We'll guarantee them that we'll take all of it, all they can grow, because we want to bring back, you know, an heirloom tomato variety. Midnight Romas we tried a couple years ago with Gathering Together Farms. Now, it didn't turn out great, but they were just hard to harvest. But we actually got the seeds through a contact at Oregon State University in the seed breeder network down there. And these are aroma that kind of has an eggplant-like skin, but they're still juicy red on the inside. And we bought the seeds, and they're just beautiful. The fruit was just beautiful, and you could only get those at Market of Choice, you know. And it's an old heirloom variety that you used to be able to find here, and so we love to kind of work with folks like Oregon State and Lane Selman, who we were talking about. And it's like, what are the cool seeds that we can find and bring those products back? You know, that's a fun part of our curation too. So.
And that's a lot of that work that Evan's doing with the heirloom seed stuff, and you know, that what he's trying to work with the stuff out there on the end of Sandy, on the other side of town, but working with OSU and all of that. Like, okay, let's get back to bringing some of these things back. That you can have 30 plus varieties of tomatoes here, you know, here. You know?
We went out there to the event that he had showing all of the tomatoes, and I'm not kidding you, there must have been 40 maybe, something like that. It was a huge amount. You know, and you got to taste each one of them and all that, and you know, found your favorite. But in general, the average American, how many of you know, you know, the basic tomato that we all grew up on, and then you might know aroma or something like that, but you know, we don't know all of these other possibilities, and I just was fascinated. But I was getting samples, and we ate tomatoes for weeks. It was fun. It was fun.
Well, and just sitting here at this location, you know, in this store, and I'm thinking about, you know, people look out west of Portland proper, and it's like, oh, out there in the burbs out west. I'm like, yeah, but you know what's just over this hill right here is just ag, all the way on out to the coast. I'm like, it's not just Nike Town and everything out here. I'm like, there is so much ag and things that are out here that it's amazing to me to see. And I would say this, we were talking about this a little bit earlier before the camera clipped on. The pandemic changed a whole lot of things, but for me, what I saw, even from over on the coast, when people were doing more at home, because that's what we had to do, though our restaurant industry and all of that, hospitality industry really took the hit, still are, but what people were doing at home and their appreciation, respect, and want for what is local and what is here. And now it matters. Now it's source. Now the story. Now all of that matters. It's not just the convenience store or the large market. I want to go get my tires and my tomatoes and my toothpaste and the newspaper, you know, and a cup of coffee. You know, I want it all from the same place. It's like, you know, you can't go to a farmer's market every day. I mean, you can, sort of, kind of, but you know. So where do you go get some of that stuff? But the attention that people wanted to know, and I think that really helped push getting the word out on the agricultural prowess that we do have here in Oregon, throughout all four corners and in the middle. That people are like, oh, they got Marionberry salmon and whatever. I'm like, no, we have a lot more than that.
Yeah, we're so fortunate with the abundance of our state and the ecosystem that we have. I've worked around the country and been fortunate to live in different places, but Oregon is my home, and it's just amazing. You can be out in a day touring farms or going to those farmers markets and the amazing stuff you're going to find that you just didn't expect. And I think the pandemic did change. I mean, we definitely saw a shift in people cooking more at home, and they were experimenting, right? They wanted to innovate. They wanted to throw, and that's, I think, again, where that sense of local comes in, because it is flavorful. There is a story behind it, and you can make some amazing food. You know?
You can, and you can also eat raw at an amazing level of taste. John is the cook. He started cooking when he was 13 out of self-defense because, you know, I got really rudimentary skills, and it just wasn't something that, no, I was such a tomboy, you know, I didn't want to stay in the kitchen learning anything. But I have, you know, as I've gotten older, really become fond of, oh, look, there's a pepper. Let's just straight eat some of that
Yeah,
pepper.
yeah.
Or, one day I was driving down the street, down the highway, and there was a woman in there chomping on asparagus. There's lots of wonderful ways to cook it and things to put it together that enhance each other and all that. I get that, but also the quality of what you can get raw.
Yeah.
It's just top notch, and you can indulge in that for those of us that are not real good with.
You don't have to have a super amazing palate to be able to taste a tomato that was locally grown and then bite into one that just came off of a big shelf somewhere. There's a difference.
There is a difference.
The local stuff's going to taste better. It's going to last longer in your refrigerator, and it's going to deliver a much better. As a chef, the quality's there. So.
And I remember too being over in a small town on the coast, and the first time going to the Market of Choice in Corvallis and going into
we just keep building stores wherever you move.
There we go. Yeah, go into the produce section, and I just wanted to hug it. I was like, oh, I haven't seen properly the right color. Thank you. Meyer lemons are orange in color.
Yeah.
They're not yellow.
Orange-ish.
But yeah, I'm like, oh my God, things that are done right. And oh look, it's down the street. Or I
Yeah.
drove past that farm on my way here.
It's fun to take our produce teams to a farm and have them talk to the farmer and learn how tough of a life that is. It's not easy, right?
No, it's
Acknowledge
not.
that,
And you're not doing it to make
farmers.
money, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
But they can see, not everything's going to be the same shape, and not everything's going to meet the minimum size that some of the big stores want. And it's like, it's okay, it all eats the same at the end of the day, right?
It
And I
does.
know I'm helping that farmer family
Yeah,
that
100%. That's when you get into that ugly produce thing. It's just like how much we could feed all of the hungry people and children in this country just because a tomato does not look right.
Right. Yeah.
It makes soup
Up that
just
blemish,
fine.
yeah.
It cuts up and goes on a sandwich. It's totally fine.
Make a pizza.
Yeah, make a pizza. Do something, but putting this stuff all back in a big hole. I'm like, no.
From 11 forward until I married 21, 22, and moved away from California, I had a brother-in-law who had a pear ranch there, and Suisun Valley was where we were located. And so that's what we did as high schoolers, was you worked the fruit, and so you went out and you got to pick the fruit and all of that stuff and just kind of be part of that process. And, it's just something about being able to stand under a pear tree,
Yeah.
and pick it. Now, of course, when they pick it, usually it's not quite ready
Right.
to bite into, unless you want to break your teeth. But, then to watch that ripen over time. And I know that when I was little, and I was actually raised until I was 11 in Alabama.
Oh.
And at that time, my brother-in-law would somehow package up and mail us a lug, and it was just like, wow, what is this?
Yeah.
And anyway, it's just watching stuff grow and being there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can go on.
The pear in a Market of Choice.
That's exactly,
logo.
Yeah.
And I now know why that is, because I actually didn't know. At least I think I know why that is.
What do you
I
think?
learned something just the other day that I should have known. I'm admitting it right here. Out of pretty much 50% of my life at this point has been lived and spent in Oregon. It's the Oregon. It's the state fruit.
Yep. It actually,
It's the state fruit. I'm like, I've literally been working in ag some way in this state for 20, 30 years, and I did not know that until the other day. I'm like,
Rick our owner grew up in Medford, or he moved to Medford when he was in high school, and his dad bought his first store, and that's all the pear orchards that are down there. It's kind of the reason for the pear in the logo. So.
Oh God, I love a good pear.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, is there anything that we haven't hit that you think needs to be shared?
we're moving down the list. I printed mine off so tiny I
gosh,
can't
I
read
know
it, so
you.
I'm looking at you guys, and I'm like, oh man. But
Well, what was funny was I thought I better do some research before I go in there and try to talk with this person, this gentleman. And so I'm looking at your website and some other things, and I'm looking up Wikipedia, whatever, history and all that. And then I look over, and I go, oh, she already These were already
No, we're pretty
outlined.
good. A couple weeks in when she asked, like, what do you want to talk about or ask? I'm like, here's some broad stroke stuff. And then I get back this wonderfully laid out thing, so professional and like right on point, and that's good. And I'm looking over at Deb's right now, and it looks like John Madden's football playmaking.
It does.
I'm like, oh yeah, are you gonna start going? You're gonna do
Yeah.
So you've been with Market of Choice
Since 2016.
2016.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's an awesome place to work for a lot of reasons, but Rick is a visionary, super smart guy, not just saying that, but he, these stores are his concept. He, little known secret is he taught himself to use CAD, and he designs the stores. He works with an
Wow.
engineer for the,
Okay.
for the rest of the building, but the whole interior
wow.
is, Rick and a designer for the decor and stuff like that. But Rick is the guy who fits the departments together, and then it's so cool as a merchandiser because Matt and myself, we can go to Rick and say, we want this style of case put right here, or can you give me more room on the kitchen lineup? I want to start a new walk program or something. And not only does Rick draw all that in, but he finds all the equipment we need.
Sure.
And he's, I think the coolest thing about Market of Choice is we really do. Obviously this week we're looking at ordering holiday stuff already. It's just part of our business, but we really live in the now. Like what's happening now? What crops are coming out of the ground? What are the fisher folk doing? And what do we need? Where do we maybe need to pivot a little bit? And to have Rick just give us the flexibility to do that. We're not driven by kind of what I would call the typical metrics. Rick's a big believer in supporting the communities, finding the right communities to be in, but we're gonna move slow, and we're gonna move at a pace that's right for the company, that's right for our team members, and he doesn't like to look at a new store until the last building is profitable, the last one that we open, and so it's just a really good financial model. But his trust in all of us, everybody in the stores as well, is like take care of the customers, carry what they want us to carry for them, make sure it's quality, and always be doing something different. Like always be looking for what's that next thing, because we're in a pretty competitive industry.
Sure.
But our goal is to look out the windshield and not keep looking at the rearview mirror, leave all those guys behind us, and we want success for everybody, but that's our philosophy, is to make sure we're delivering all of those things. So.
It's been working for 45 years.
Yeah, 45 years. Not too shabby.
And it's just cool that he is the one, because if you've been to 3 to 5 Market of Choices, they are all so different.
Yeah.
And they are unique to where it is.
Yeah, very much.
Belmont's the closest one to us.
Yeah.
And I love it. Elevator, a parking garage,
Yeah.
and a whole bit, and seating all over the place, and it's built for that city.
Yeah.
That city vibe.
Yeah.
Like it's there. And that shared space building with
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
including residential, I
Yeah,
think, somewhere
yeah,
in
yeah,
that
yeah,
building. And I just, it's such excellent things that you guys are doing. And you were talking about customer service, and you were talking about Rick laying them out. I'm like, because you got to make room to get Honey Mamas up on the refrigerator. It's like all these unique stuff.
Yeah.
And so part of the customer service is not just taking care of the customer, but also taking care of the producers and the makers that
Yep.
you guys are working
Yep.
with, which that's, it's a circle, it's a cycle.
Yeah.
That's how it works. One thing, when Deb and I were having a meeting with Dean towards the end of last year, when we were talking about this and trying to set this up and talking to Laura and everything, we were talking about going into a Market of Choice. And I remember Dean saying something about one thing he always appreciated, and I have to agree, over 20-something years, ever how long I've been a customer. You see all different shapes, colors, people,
Yeah.
age
Yeah.
groups,
Yeah.
everything, and each one you go to, and everyone's smiling and happy.
Yeah.
Everyone's smiling and happy.
Yeah.
That says something.
Yeah, it does.
When you talk to those business owners, and there is no turnaround. Like people don't want to leave unless they're going off to school or it's baby time or someone's got to get a job, has a job on the other part of the country or wherever. that says a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and it's clear, man. It's clear. It's clear in the intention of what the vision is and what's going on.
Yeah.
Like you said, I'm like, that's just got to feel good to
feels
know, you know, like you get to do this.
Yeah. Well, you and I were talking earlier. It's you know, it takes a commitment. I mean, you know, you carry 7,000 local products, and it takes a lot to fit all of them on the shelf. And you got to break the traditional norms for how grocers set up their shelves, and you got to live with a little bit lower turning volume maybe on some items, but you know, it's that commitment to take care of that vendor or part of our overall ecosystem. It all just, like you said, it's all working together. And the other word that we use a lot is obligation. You know, we're part of these communities. We have an obligation to meet their needs. We have an obligation to carry the local makers from those communities. And it just, you know, it's crazy because you would look at it from maybe the outside and say, that's not going to work very good. But for 45 years, it's done pretty dang good. So,
45 years, 11 stores.
11, and we're opening number 12. We'll have an Oregon dozen at the end of May, the Reeds Crossing in Hillsboro.
In Hillsboro.
Yeah.
There's a lot of action coming out here on the west side of
there
town.
is.
There's a lot of people getting out here.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of restaurants that are shuttering in downtown or even the east side and moving out this way.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a lot happening out here.
I feel like it's coming back. Do you feel like it's coming back a little bit?
I do believe that, and it's been a topic of conversation a lot. Obviously, having brought the magazine back, and you know, being very close with some people, friends in the industry, whether it be wine or chefs or you know, makers, somebody, or the market or the restaurant itself. And I do, you know, the wine guys and the beer guys are having a little bit of a tough time right now.
Trend change there for sure.
You know, the wine guys are having a real tough time, whether it's import or local, either way. And who knows how that's going to go. You know, the NA thing is not going away. It's growing, which, you know, I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing. Just that this is a fact. But I think so. I think when you look at some of those other cities with their press saying, you know, Portland's on fire and all of that, it's like, well, whatever. Then if you don't want to come, then don't.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it never really was. And we're okay.
Yeah.
Actually, we're very friendly and nice. And,
Yes.
you know, put on your roller skates and throw on some sparkles and glitter and, you know, rock and roll, man. You know, hop in your old beat up truck and let's go look at, you know, plants and animals and eat food and, you know, hang out with people from the source. That's the thing about Oregon and Portland in the area is that there is this, the DIY thing you hear all the time, right? But that is what we do here is, I have a little bit of extra money or I have no money, so I'm going to do this thing because I want to do this thing. I want to bring this product to the people. I want to do this. And you just figure it out with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah. And I think that helps build and go into the resilience of coming back post-pandemic and what's going on. You know, there's a lot of buzz. There's a lot of cool things going on, both sides of the river. And out this way, and even, you know, we're having a conversation the other night with some folks, you know, out the Hood River way. And there's a lot of action going on out there. Yeah. And I remember back in my former life driving out to Walla Walla and out those places all the time and coming through the first couple times I came through on 84 or even on the Washington side near the river. And I'm looking at all of this wonderfully colored, mineral dense, just this dirt, this soil. And for me, you know, growing up in California and being around ag like that, like I know what I'm looking at. Yeah. This is gonna pop. I don't know if it'll be vines, I don't know if it'll be hops, I don't know if it'll be avocados, you know, I don't know what it's gonna be, but I'm like, this makes sense. You've got east, west sun, you got water, you know, you've got all this. I'm like, this is one day this is gonna pop. Yeah. And felt the same way about McMinnville, and here we are. Yeah. But things are coming back. Dare I say there is hope, there is optimism, and there is drive. Yeah. And you know, seeing the number of farmers markets growing throughout the area, even out in the, out in the burbs and out the river and down I-5 corridor, and talking about being down in Wilsonville and how things are stretching out, but it's stretching out in a great way.
I think it's thoughtful.
And for me, being in Oregon long enough to see Portland and its surrounding area kind of move from that cluster of neighborhoods, it became a small city for sure. Like it's happened, but seeing what's going on is pretty cool. And to play with Vancouver across the bridge, and the counties, and everyone's working together for the betterment of ourselves and the planet and the community, and supporting these small. But it takes vision and drive, like Rick had 45 years ago. But this operation, this is how I think we get the ball down the field.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do. I really feel like things are coming back, and I think about meeting at the Good Food Awards at the Mercantile. I think about when we got that wonderful bag of goodies. I'm looking at some of the known products and the hot sauces and things over there, and thinking about all that stuff. I'm talking about Lane Selman and what's going on. There's stuff. There is stuff. There's happening. There's movement, and that. Damn it all! Whatever's going on, we're gonna do it.
Yep.
And movement creates movement, and that energy and that synergy, and I think it's amazing. And it starts with this kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think part of that is you have to just be willing to have the conversation with people. What are you working? We had a conversation, Matt and I did the other day with Amy Garrett from the Dry Farming Institute. I'm a big believer in dry farming. We really got our first start last growing season, had some fantastic, you would have loved some of the stuff we were getting. Again, not all perfect sizing, but just beautiful product, all dry farmed. And what they're doing there is gonna really help with just some of the climate effects. It's putting on pressure on our water system and water rights and all of that. And so dry farming is not the answer, but it's part of the solution. And that is just a conversation that I had one day with Amy, with Lane actually, and saying, "Tell me about this dry farming." And she connected me with Amy, and and so we'll just get going. That's what it takes. We're doing work with fisher folk on the coast and figuring out, how can a day fisherman come back, hit, and then we get it over to here for restaurants, but also for for our stores. And so we're working with people kind of in that space also. So you just have to constantly be willing. It's a lot going on. This is a cool thing about Market of Choice too, is we're able to pivot, where we need to pivot, look at the long game, but be in the now. And when you start meeting these people and you start hearing the cool stuff they're doing, and you're like, I think I could be part of that, and I think I could help you with that transportation piece, or I think I could carry that product at my store, or you're at a restaurant talking to the restaurant owner, and I'm thinking about Sue Gee's right now, and Cameo Cafe, and just meeting her one day, and she's got these sauces on the table, and I'm talking to her about them, and next thing you know, we're adding them to our shelves, and meeting with her. They're so amazing,
so good.
and she's just kick ass, and it's amazing. So great personality.
I literally just used my last bit up. I think it was yesterday.
I got a bottle of there. You can start tearing into food if you want to.
And the chili crisp from Althea, the Flavor Society stuff. I'm like, I don't care. Ice cream, rice, a piece of toast. I was like, I'm like, let's go.
It's like you were saying too. It's funny when you look at a category, whatever. Let's say nut butters, and who would have thought you'd see pistachio butter? In the nut butter set. There's 4 brands I grew up with. Why do you need more? Now you've got local producers like Ground Up and Pistachio and many others. Our private label preserves come in that category and all that stuff. So, but again, it's all a conversation.
Conversation that we got to keep going. I remember some years back, the first time we were going through this craziness, and it was like, don't build a wall, build a longer table. And I thought about that in a lot of ways, because I'm like, that could be right down to your homestead and farmstead. It's just like, this is why you make friends with the market person and the chef and the winemaker and the beekeeper and the fish person and all that, and the baker, so we can all come to the table, everybody brings their thing, and we just talk about it. And, education, big key for Mom, and always has been for me too. And people want to know the conversation, the communion of community. There's the educational process, and that's part of it. I mean, and these are all the things of why, Deb and I wanted to do this magazine and do these now and bringing this around. Like, these are the stories to be told.
Yeah.
This is the stuff we have to go. I mean, we could do one with you guys, once a month or something. Like, we could keep on going. Follow you out to the farm or something.
I'll get Matt involved to help.
Yeah, a day in the life, But it is the conversation. Couldn't agree more.
And I think with what the great stuff you guys are doing, getting that education out there, letting the consumer understand a little bit more about the system, because a lot of people, most people don't understand what it goes into getting a meal at a restaurant or grocery store, and not just the logistics behind that. I mean, just the maker and what they've been through to get that product in a package and out the door. When you understand that, you appreciate it so much more. And that's really been part of, I've always been a foodie and always, been passionate about food systems, but since my time here in Oregon, it's just, it's like you said, I get to do this? Seriously, I get to do this? Get to work with this fisher bit and bring their line caught cod back to the store and offer it to you as a customer or something like that. So the more they know, I think the more they'll understand. So now more than ever, it's very important for people to understand where we're at today, and there's risk out there in a lot of different ways, a lot of pressure on local makers, a lot of pressure on farmers and fisher folk and ranchers, and just a lot of economy to a lot of other stuff. And it's, I don't think people understand that all that's going to have a trickle-down effect, right, at some point. And so resiliency is important for us, and make sure we stay focused on not just carrying awesome choices, but supporting the ecosystem that goes into these choices. If you can't just do one without the other, right, you got to do both.
Yeah.
Well, I sure appreciate this time.
I've loved talking to you guys
today. And again, is there one last thing that you feel like you need to say, or have we covered it?
I think we've covered. You got something?
Well, I was going to say, you got to ask your question. And if you're not, I'm going to ask.
Okay.
What's something about you that people may not know that you want to share? And I will tell you, I was Chuck E. Cheese. We've had, people don't know I went to the Jack Kerouac University thing. We've had some crazy ones. We had some fun ones. You don't have to say anything. But
Though what comes to mind, that it's not a super secret, I guess, for a lot of people, but back when I was in high school in Seattle, I was fortunate. They had a radio station program, and so I was a DJ for about 5 years on a very hip-hoppy Duran Duran style kind of station, and I was 16, 17 years old, and they made me music director, so I got to hear all the news, the Sheila E. coming in, and all these great bands and artists. And they, one time a record promoter was like, he didn't know I was probably 16 or 17, but I got invited to the Hilton downtown Seattle to this event, to go up and knock on the door of this room that everybody's partying in, and very quickly shuffled away. What's going on? But it was a fun time in my life. So I have that DJ voice, I guess.
That's rad.
That's fun. That's a good share.
Market of Choice Radio. Is that the next?
It's been known to happen at the Product Experience Show. I was doing a little behind the scenes kind of rapping. So.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really cool. That's a fun one. That's great.
Well, I know
Cool.
you probably have
You got
some
stuff
things
to do.
I appreciate you guys being out here. It's good to see you again.
Good to see
Spend
you.
time with you guys is really fun.
Thank you for
the kind comments also. So.
Yeah, thanks for taking the
Nice job,
time
guys.
and all your work.
Yeah, well, you guys,
with
nice
this.
job. I'm super proud of you guys in the magazine. It takes a lot of, like you said, it's hard to put it together. It takes time, but you can see the passion that you guys have. So
Thank you.
it's going to be successful because that's the ingredient you need.
Well, we get to conversate and communicate with great people doing great things, and then all of course all the people we have in common that we know that are out there fighting the fight, the obligation, the ethics. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, for setting this
Thank you,
up.
Laura.